Thank you. And it's good to see all of you. My name is Dave Bryant. I'm the Vice President of One Workplace. We are a workplace performance company. We work with a lot of companies, especially in the Bay Area and on the West Coast, to really create high-performing workplaces, understanding culture, and really working to engage their employees. I want to share something a little bit with you that's a little bit sobering. Prior to the pandemic in San Francisco, the vacancy, or the real estate vacancy rate, was about 1.3%. Meaning that if you wanted more than about 10,000 square feet, you couldn't find it. You had to build it. Today, that vacancy rate is close to 31%. And it's moving very quickly to 40% vacancy. And that's because the real estate leases haven't expired yet. Because the people that currently have leases that are paying their rent, they're going to stop paying their rent, and they're going to probably find a lot less space. So San Francisco could see half of its office buildings empty within the next 18 months. That's sobering. What that means is that people are not going back to the office, especially on the West Coast. So what we have to be thinking about is how do we create more high-performing workplaces? Now, we at One Workplace, along with our great partners at Court, created the experience that you're sitting here today, especially around the furniture and the whole environment. We believe that that's really important because if you're going to engage your people to innovate, you have to understand a couple of things. We did a little research recently on our own company. We have about 1,000 employees all over the United States and now all over the world. And what we found out is that during the pandemic, as they worked from home, they were more stressed, they worked more hours, but yet they did have a sense of choice. They also had less fulfillment, they were less engaged, and they actually produced lower performance. The scary part is that when we asked them if you would prefer pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic, what they all said is, we'll take post-pandemic. And I think what we're trying to say is, you don't have to pick personal satisfaction over professional satisfaction. It's actually possible to have both. So how do you do that? Well, don't do that through hybrid work, because I grew up in the Midwest, and my uncle was the head of agriculture at Iowa State University. So when I hear the word hybrid prior to the pandemic, I thought about corn. And we're in wine country, and so hybrid in wine country is called clones, and that allows you to produce more wine per acre or more corn per acre to feed more people or make people more drunk, and that's a positive thing. But what hybrid was negative was cars. Hybrid cars were terrible. Like if you think about it, like the experience was bad. Peter said it today. Like you had kind of partial electric and partial gas, and it was terrible both ways because it wasn't real high performance. It might have been okay for the environment, but it wasn't a great experience. And what I'm saying, I think what we're saying is we've got an opportunity to create a great high-performing workplace that engages people, but let's do it intentionally, and let's focus on values. What we know is when companies connect with their people and they focus on what's important to the employee, they win. I have a friend of mine, actually a guy I work with, his son is a clothing designer, just left New York, worked for a company by the name of Todd Snyder. If you're a clothing person, you probably know that name. And he just took a job, moved all the way across the country, and he just started his first day of work 2 days ago at Patagonia. There were 1,400 people that applied for his job, and he got the role. Why did he go to Patagonia? Well, I think we'd all agree we know exactly why he went to Patagonia, because the ethos of the company and the values that they have were in direct alignment with what he had as an individual. And so when we can connect our values to the people who are working for us and create that symbiotic relationship and then create an experience, much like you have here, when people go to the office, they will choose that. What I would suggest is don't have them go back to the office and work the way that they work at home, because you already sent a height adjustable desk and an ergonomic task chair to them at home. They don't need to drive an hour and a half to go sit in the same thing. But what you might want to consider is that if you create a great experience, maybe a little bit more like, we think the future of the workplace looks a little bit more like a boutique hotel. I used to live in New York prior to I lived here. You go to Ace Hotel, hang out in the lobby, pretty cool place. What if the workplace looked and felt like that? It was an experience that you look forward to. So I would say in closing that what we might want to suggest is that we've talked a lot about digital, we've talked a lot about the metaverse, we've talked a lot about VR, AR, MR, all kinds of R's and digital. What we might want to talk about is reality, because innovation is powered by people. And when people feel connected, they can innovate wildly. Thank you for having us.